This is Gareth Southgate, and this is the Three Lions podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Three Lions podcast. My name is Russell Osborne and this is an Independent England football supporters podcast. January, almost over, finally. Cold snaps and Stormischer. I hope you came through them unscathed. And I think I've got an episode here that will warm even the coldest of hearts. Stand by as it's coming soon. First though, thank you, as always, for tuning in. Always appreciated. If you've missed any of the recent episodes, they are available at your podcast provider of choice or threelionspodcast.com. I recently spoke with England fan James Harrison about his England journey. You can tune into that, where he's been, the stories he has. If you'd like to share your England journey, by all means, drop me a line, either on social media or threelionspodcast@gmail.com. There was also the episode where I spoke with Marco Cunar, who gave us a guide to those German cities we'll be playing in later this year in the Euros. That one is episode 300. We go through Gelsenkirchen, Cologne and Frankfurt, isn't it? Yes. Serbia, Denmark and Slovenia. I also mentioned recently that I'm planning on a Valentine's episode. I've already bought a relevant programme, so for the research, so chances are I'm going to do it, aren't I? But if you'd like to contribute to it with any England-related romance stories, again, contact me by social media or that email, threelionspodcast@gmail.com. Maybe your eyes met over a beer at the Green Man. Maybe you were celebrating Luke Shaw's goal in the final and found yourself in the arms of your future partner. Maybe not. Whatever. Let me know.
It is the ugly side of the beautiful game. This is what officers face at football matches every week.
Our diary of England's Euro 2000 disgrace. This was what England had been building for 2 years, the chance to test ourselves against the best in Europe. Unfortunately, it was the same for our hooligans. In central Brussels, England fans found the Belgian police less laid back than their Dutch counterparts. The snatch squads moved in, and English fans were about to learn the true meaning of zero tolerance. What followed was 20 minutes of mayhem that cost England dear. Plastic tables and chairs were thrown, but the real damage was incalculable. But another major competition had been tarnished, and as a football nation, England was once again the pariah of Europe.
Now, over the years, England fans have had a negative reputation that has, thankfully, slowly been worn off, mainly thanks to the good behaviour, home and abroad, of England fans. It'll never be perfect, but thanks to those fans that raise money for charities, lay wreaths for fallen soldiers on foreign soil, or in the case of Cuthbert Ottaway, England's first captain, raising money to return his grave back to a suitable state after it had been left in disarray. There are, of course, lots more good deeds by England fans. But here, I think I have one of the most recent. Now, as human beings, we're all suckers for an animal story, aren't we? I don't think we've covered many on here before, so let's do one. I'd like to welcome to the podcast, Warsaw, an England fan, Lisa. Hello, Lisa.
Hello, Russell. It's good to be here.
Welcome along.
Thank you very much. Seems a bit random to be coming on an England podcast to talk about the lovely Lexo, but
Wow.
yeah, nice to be here.
I think it's something that, I'm really excited to hear about. I think people are going to be really interested. We'll explain who Lexo is very soon, but just give us a little background as to you and England.
So my England journey started at Euro 96, really. Only as a young person sort of watching it on TV. I didn't get to go to any of the games. I'm from Birmingham. I remember seeing a lot of Dutch people around Birmingham city centre, not really sort of, just really enjoying it and not really understanding kind of what was going on, but wanting to be part of it, then watching the matches on the telly, seeing the players kind of really belting out the national anthem, and just remember thinking, I really want to go to watch England, when I'm an adult, I really want to go. So I think that's what really inspired me at the time. So my first tournament, just going along to sort of a fan zone and being there, was Portugal, and then Germany, 2006, and various tournaments since then, really. Ukraine, Brazil, France. So yeah, Porto as well for the United Nations.
Yeah.
So done a fair few now.
Put some miles in.
Yeah, put some miles in. But then I went to live in Jersey for a couple of years.
Okay.
Yeah, so with work, and did a couple of years over there. So while I was there, and then a year sort of following that, I had a bit of a gap. So I'm playing catch up now, and obviously there's a massive flurry since doing so well in Russia, really, isn't there? So I'm kind of playing catch up with the old caps. But yeah, love following England. What I love the most about it is obviously the people, meeting the people when you go to countries, and also just experiencing different countries that you wouldn't ordinarily perhaps go to.
Yeah.
I think that's the fundamental thing for me. So when people say to me quite often, but certainly in the past when we haven't done so well, why do you bother? Why do you spend all that money following England? It's just, you can't put it into words unless you actually do it. It's really, for me, about the experiences that you have, going to see different countries, meeting different people along the way, and that for me is magic. I mean, one of my best tournaments was Brazil, and we didn't even get out of the group, and yet for me that was like one of the best, if not the best, experience of my life. So don't think I'll ever stop, really. I'm sort of, I don't want to give my age away, but I'm well into my 40s, and every tournament comes along and I think, oh, sure, Mexico, America, Canada, maybe that'll be my last, but then who knows?
No, we're all hooked. We're all hooked. Well, you mentioned these different countries. Let's go back to North Macedonia, November of last year, game that I went to as well. Lo and behold, I guess when you booked it and looked into it, little did you know how a few lives would be changing.
Well, exactly that, really, and I've sort of reflected on it quite a bit since Lexo's arrived, and just how I suppose my life's changed now for the foreseeable future, and yeah, not having a clue really what was in store. But having said that, I'm not a novice to kind of street animals and rescuing animals from the street. I rescued my two boys, two cats from Cyprus when I was on holiday there in 2019. So yeah, I'm not a novice to it really, but this is my first time with a dog, so very different experience. And with Lexo in particular, we know that he was born on the streets, and I'll talk about that, I suppose, in a little bit more about Lexo, but we know a bit more information about him because of the scheme, I suppose, in North Macedonia, where they trap and neuter the dogs, and the program they've got over there. So I've got a bit of information on him, and that's how we know his name's Lexo, actually.
Ah, so it's not a name that you gave to him?
No, it's not. It's actually his North Macedonian public shelter name, which is so lovely, really. I mean, the fans will know from visiting North Macedonia with the street dog issue, I suppose. I mean, from research, there's around 6,000 apparently sort of on the street. So it's a massive issue, but they do have quite a government sort of program in place where they will trap and neuter the dogs and also vaccinate them. And if that has happened, you'll notice there's a tag in their ear,
Yes.
and then numbered. So Lexo's number was 068,
Right.
and yeah, so when
It's like
he
his
was,
legacy number.
it really is, yeah. So when he was neutered and trapped by the public shelter scheme, they named him Lexo, and that goes on their system, really. So that's how I come to find out that his name was Lexo, with all the sort of contacting I did of so many different sort of charities, the public shelter. Because initially we had to try and find him, because we met him on the streets,
Yeah.
and then obviously returned here, and then it was right. Let's try and find this boy.
Well, for those that didn't go to Skopje and North Macedonia, there are a lot of, I don't know, is stray dogs the right phrase? But there's a lot of dogs roaming around. And whilst I was having something to eat and a beer there, one came and just lay down beside me as I was there. And I was very, I don't have a dog personally. There's a dog in the family. So it's not as if I'm averse to dogs, but I was very, was he safe to touch and stroke? So I was a little bit wary. But there's plenty around, and much like when I went into Macedonia from Thessalonica in Greece, again they've got a similar sort of dogs around. But you obviously became attached to Lexo. How did that? But where did you sort of meet?
Yeah, so well, the thing is, we went to Kosovo first. So I went along with a friend, Paul. And Paul was, he's been going through a bit of a difficult time really of late. So I'd said to him, why don't you come on an England away with me? Just down tools for a bit, come away.
Yeah,
you'll have a great time. He follows Warsaw. I know him through work. I know him through following Warsaw. And he said, what are the chances of getting a ticket? I said, well, you won't really get one. You're not even a member, so you won't get a ticket. Lo and behold, he joined on deadline day and he did get a ticket.
Oh, really?
quite unbelievable, but he did.
Wow.
Yeah. So it all kind of fell into place. So while I was over there with Paul, we went to Kosovo first, and obviously people that did go to Kosovo and have been to Kosovo know that there's similar sort of situation with the dogs. And so I suppose I come across about 30 dogs really in the time that I was in Kosovo and North Macedonia. And I think with Lexo, initially, what drew me to Lexo was that he was on his own. A lot of the dogs that we sort of come across were, there was a couple around, 2 or 3, and they were kind of in packs, and he just seemed to be on his own. And he was outside the Irish bar, right by the hotel where we sort of collected tickets and whatnot. He was just lying there, and he got his paws crossed, and he just looked so down in the dumps, and like you, cautiously sort of walked past, and there was nothing from him. There was no, a lot of the dogs that I'd sort of perhaps stroked and given attention, they were very, what I noticed in North Macedonia was the dogs were just super friendly. Right. And I suppose that is a survival strategy, isn't it, really, to be friendly to humans. That's what helps them to exist, really, and survive in the world. So, but Lexo was he seemed depressed, he seemed like if he could speak, he would just say, just end my life now. That's how I felt. When I come away, I just couldn't get him out of my mind. But we went and got some food, and we sat down, and Paul said to me, I can't get that dog out of my mind. And I said, I know, it's difficult, isn't it, to see? And, we had a chat about it. And then when we came out, I said, look, if he's there still, let's go get some food or do something. And we come out, and he wasn't, he'd gone. And Paul kept saying, I just can't get that dog out of my mind. And on the way back to the airport in the taxi, I was talking to the taxi driver about the dog issue, and he was saying, a lot of the dogs don't sadly make it through winter. They really do. They really kind of do live day by day, and when the winter kicks in, for sure. And so, that is just the situation really with the dogs. So when we got on the aeroplane, Paul was at the opposite end of the aeroplane, and he came up to me mid-flight and he said, Lisa, I can't get that dog out of my mind. So I said, look, Paul, if you want to do something about that dog, I will help you. I will support you. I will help you. We will raise the funds. We will do whatever we need to do. if you're serious about rescuing the dog, you know, I will help you. So he said, okay, you know, let me have a think about it. And so I thought, we got off the plane, we got home, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna fundraise and I'm gonna rescue this dog, and I'll rehome him anyway, because I couldn't get him out of my mind. And then Paul said, no, I do want to rescue him. So we went down that road. He did the application to adopt Lexo. We did the fundraising with England Fans, which was just absolutely phenomenal. So just a massive, massive thank you to everybody that did help raise the money. It's you know, always really heartwarming when you try and, you know, fundraise like that for animals. And when I fundraised to rescue my cats, I tried to get £500 in 5 days, and within 5 days I'd got £1,000. So I ended up rescuing 2 of them. Luckily that didn't happen with Lexo, so I haven't ended up with 2 street dogs. But yeah, no, then Paul sort of, you know, he understandably had reservations and apprehensions about, you know, this is a street animal, you know, what are the difficulties going to be? And so he sort of said, look, I don't think I can go through with this. And I felt really committed to Lexo. I was already invested. I was already heavily invested at this point. So, I got in touch with the charity and explained the situation and said, look, you know, I'm really keen to still rescue this boy, and obviously spoke to my partner, who was supportive of that. Because it's such a massive, massive, you know, I don't underestimate for a second the investment and the time and the commitment that it would take really for Lexo. So yeah, we had a really good talk about it and decided let's go through with it, and here we are.
Wow. So I've got some silly questions, I guess. I mean, well, no, my silly question is there a language barrier?
Well, somebody commented, didn't they, on the forum, and of course he doesn't even know his name. You know, he's turned up. He doesn't even know. Obviously, there's no commands that he knows in English.
Yeah.
He doesn't know his name. He doesn't respond to his name. It's today. I was so super proud of him. We're into day 10, and you know, the support that I'm getting through the charity Paupers in the Rough, and it's quite phenomenal. It is daily input, you know, and I've got a call straight after this at 2 p.m. with a behaviourist, you know, and they're just so super, super brilliant. I can't praise them enough. And yeah, they're teaching me really how to sort of try and develop that relationship with the street dog, because this isn't your average kind of dog or puppy coming into your home. But then having said that, that doesn't mean you can't retrain, you know, his brain. You can't, you know, his brain's maladaptive just like ours, you know, it's just going to take a bit more time. So yeah, it's today I was so super proud of him because, you know, hand feeding him and saying his name, Lexo, and he looked at me immediately. Whereas before it's been taking 10, 15 times, you know, and then he glances, but you don't feed him until he literally gives you eye contact. And so today it was like time after time after time, Lexo, and he looked straight at me, you know, and then food. So yeah, it's slow progress, Russell, slow progress.
What type of dog is he?
Well, do you know what? I am having him DNA'd, so we will know that shortly. But I don't know how you pronounce it, but the charity did tell me it's spelled Sarplaninak, is what they think is the majority breed.
Right.
So that's a shepherd dog breed. It's bred for mountains, and you know, they're kind of working dogs, but so a bit guardy at times. Now, obviously, he's been assessed over there. You know, they do a fantastic job. He spent 6 weeks at the vets.
Right.
There have been assessments with him around his suitability to come and live in a family home, his suitability to be around cats, his suitability with other dogs and strangers. So for him, although that is potentially within his breed, every dog is individual, aren't they? And so for him, you can take food out of his mouth, which is quite incredible for a street dog.
Right.
Yeah, you can take food from him. He can be a bit guardy, as in if you're walking him.
Yeah.
Which, another thing, he's had to learn how to be on a harness, on a lead. He's like, what the hell? You know, why are you restricting me on my walk? You know, what are you doing? I just want to, you know, he looks at me in the park as if to say, right, you can go now. I'm done. I'm all right. You know, you can leave me here. Because he just lies down in the park and just wants to stay. you can't. He's not like a dog that walks around with you like every other normal dog. He just wants to chill out and lie down and kick about in the park. So yeah, it's all a learning curve, really, a steep learning curve. But I feel as every day goes on, we've had our challenges. The cat flap is a challenge. It sets him off.
Oh right.
Yeah, but he hasn't met the cats yet, as which is the advice I've been given.
Yeah.
Slowly with him. So he hasn't actually met them. So I just think it's a bit of what is that noise banging? Because it's all sort of trying to reduce the stimulation with him and turning the telly off and these kind of things. Mechanical noises. He's like, what is that when the dishwasher's on or the washing machine's on? Yeah, those kind of things that you think a street dog just don't get really living in a house,
Yeah, it's understandable, I guess, when you put it like that, they're not going to come across those sort of things, a cat flap or a washing machine. Of course not.
Yeah. What did I answer your question anyway, Russell? I can't remember what it was.
Well, yeah, I mean, what type of dog was he? And you said that it's all in sort of process. Has he got an age?
Yeah, so because obviously he was through their street program, he's around 2.5.
Right.
He's around 2.5 years old, which to me looks older than that. I thought he was going to be older than that, but I suppose the existence and life on the streets maybe takes its toll. He's got lots of scars sort of on his paws and on his face, and perhaps where he's cut himself trying to get into food. And he's a master at getting in the bin in the kitchen. You can't leave it for a second.
All those scraps.
Yeah, he's super intelligent at being able to sniff a bin out.
Oh, good stuff. I mean, how's he adapting? Because, the weather in Skopje at the time, it was quite nice during the day, but as soon as the sun went down, it got really chilly. And obviously now we're talking just after Storm Isha, however they pronounce it. It's a bit chilly here. How's he coping with that?
It's an interesting one because I love my house. I mean, I've got a T-shirt on now. I love my home 22, 23 degrees always, so I'm mindful of that with him because, I keep opening the kitchen window and sort of letting that fresh air in for him because I'm mindful that his coat actually is quite thick. He's shedding a lot, and that's probably to do with the fact that he's in a warmer environment.
Right.
But other than that, he seems, with the weather, he seems to be fine. And I do actually have a look at Skopje weather from time to time. And at the minute, it's a lot milder than it is here, up to 13, 14 some days. So
nice.
Yeah. So, I think he's probably thinking, what on earth have you done bringing me to Warsaw? Yeah.
It took quite a while to get him from Skopje to Warsaw. What was the procedure, and did he have to have sort of vaccinations and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so there was a number of complexities to it, really. So I don't know where to start. I mean, in the first instance, the charity were phenomenal. They didn't ask for any money up front or anything like that. It was just about a serious commitment to finding him. So obviously we did the fundraising page and pretty much got a lot of money quite quickly. So it wasn't about funds. It was more about he'd had his vaccinations. So they obviously checked out with the public shelter what the situation was with Lexo. They have to check his health, whether he's already got any diseases they're aware of. There are particular diseases they won't let the dogs travel. If they fail their assessments, they some dogs they will say they're not suitable, potentially, but that doesn't happen very often at all. But there are dogs that, like the dump dogs, the dogs that live at the dump, the rubbish tip, and there are dogs, sadly, that are in those situations where they would say, they can't come over. But for Lexo, he'd had his vaccinations. He was pretty much good to go. But because Paul was going to have Lex in initially, wasn't he? So Paul had said that he'd got lots of commitments leading up to Christmas and after Christmas. So could we look at January? So that was the plan, really, for him to come over in the January. And then, of course, when that changed, I was quite keen to get him over as soon as I could. Now, they don't normally have dogs come over before New Year because of the whole transition and the fireworks and people having celebrations and all of that. it's about, really trying to give it the best opportunity for the dogs having sort of less traumatic experiences. So he ended up, anyway, long story short, he ended up coming over on the 9th of January. Yeah, the buzzes come over with animals about every 2 to 3 weeks. And obviously they try and rescue as many as they can on the buses to make it financially viable. So I think there was around 35 dogs that come over with Lex.
To England from...
Yeah.
Wow, so there's plenty of other people are doing the same thing as other Macedonian dogs around the country.
Absolutely. And I suppose that's one of the pertinent points, really, I wanted to make on this podcast, because a lot of people on the forum were sort of saying, this is incredible, this is amazing, this is absolutely unbelievable. And it did get me thinking, I just wonder what perhaps what the knowledge is out there of people rescuing from countries where animal welfare isn't anywhere near as good as ours. You won't generally see dogs walking around the street in the UK. I know that there are dogs need rescuing in the UK, of course there are, but for me, when you see animals like that on the streets and sort of in desperate need, it pulls on my heartstrings just that bit more, I suppose. And so, I feel that like with the cats, we've got the cats over in Cyprus, and it's doable. And not only that, obviously there are some charities, like anything really, are sort of better than others, but I cannot praise Porpoise in the Rough enough, because I do know I've got friends who have rescued from abroad, Romania, Cyprus, various different places, and they haven't had anywhere near as much support as I've had. And I'm quite amazed actually at the daily contact. I've had phone calls like this, really, just to talk through certain things, just to make sure I'm responding in the right way with him. Yeah. To make sure these behaviours don't manifest into things like separation anxiety or barking excessively, because these kind of things could break down him being here, couldn't they? Those kind of things could break down the place, the adoption, if you like. So they try and do everything within their power, I guess, to make sure that you're fully sort of equipped to respond to their needs. And he's crate trained as well. He's come over. They've crate trained him. So right now he's having downtime. He's in his crate. He's been on a walk with me this morning. Yeah. Which he can. Like I said, he can be stubborn, and I think that might be his breed. Right. That might be. He's 35 kilos, Russell. This boy.
Wow.
I was really surprised with his weight. Honestly, my partner said, "How heavy do you reckon he is?" I said, "I think about 17, 18 kilos at a guess." And then, literally, because he was lying down in the street, like literally that's all of him. And when he stands up, his legs are so long, and he's 35 kilos, of pure Macedonian hunky muscle.
Oh, I'm sure there'll be a few choice words when he learns to jump up on the sofa onto you at 35 kilos.
Oh no, yeah. But he's so good, he doesn't even try and bother. I think he's so used to just lying on the floor, and even his soft bed, I have to put a towel down on the hard floor, because he's not keen on soft beds and things like that. It's about what they know, I suppose, and what they're used to, and adapting to things like that. So adapting to having a soft bed, or just going on a lead, putting a harness on. He's all of those kind of things. But he's doing, on the whole, considering everything he's been through, and turning up in a different country and having to get used to all the different sounds, sights, smells, living in a house, he's just doing incredibly well. And I can't thank everybody enough, really.
It's a lovely story. Really nice. How's he going to be though when you pop down to Wembley for Brazil and Belgium?
Yeah, I could bring him along, couldn't I, as a mascot? If he didn't have his name, if he hadn't got his name, Lexo, I probably would have ended up naming him some of the suggestions on there. I particularly liked Kyle Walker's and Harry Kane on. But yeah, when I go down to Wembley, obviously I've got my partner here who will. He'll look after him. I've got a couple of days away training as well. I don't want to go now because I don't want to leave him. But life carries on, obviously, doesn't it? It's just trying to keep him as settled and stable as we can while I'm away. But there's the two of us, and we're lucky in terms of I can work from home quite a bit. My partner works shifts, so we've got that arrangement where we can try and sort it out with him. But yeah, he won't be coming to fly the flag with me down London. Not just...
Well, he sounds like he's all set up for a lovely life in Walsall there, Lexo.
Yeah. Hopefully he will settle and he'll be absolutely fine. My only anxiety, in all honesty, Russell, is the cats, because obviously he hasn't met them yet.
Yeah.
But he has been cat tested over in North Macedonia, and well, the videos are just ridiculous. He seems more scared of them, to be honest. He shies away. He's looking at them as if to say, like, get that cat away from me. And they've tested him with a few cats. So it all looks very positive, but they did say it can be different when you get to a home environment, because obviously then that becomes something to guard, doesn't it? You know, your home environment. So we'll see how that goes. But we've got support from the behaviourist and the charity, who have been phenomenal. Yeah. And just a quick shout out as well, if anyone does want to rescue any cats from Egypt, perhaps, then have a look at Mercy Missions. They're a fabulous, fabulous charity as well, who sort of help cats coming over from Egypt and different places. Just wanted to give them a shout out for the cats.
Absolutely. Great stuff. I'll tell you what, well, I'll take some of the websites and the organisations from you, and I'll post them up alongside this. Lisa, thank you very much for your time. I wish you and Lexo all the best for a long, healthy life there with you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Russell. Thanks for the chat.
My many thanks go to Lisa there for her time. Really enjoyed that one. Hope you did too, hearing all about Lexo and his journey. And we didn't even need to cover the game. That's long forgotten, that one. I have to be honest, I wasn't aware of the charities that do all this work on behalf of the dogs and cats. So just to reiterate some of those organisations that Lisa mentioned: paupersintherough.com, PAWPERSINTHERUFF.com. If you'd like to donate on behalf of Lexo, you can do so there. And also Mercy Missions, who are dedicated to helping save abandoned, injured and abused cats in Egypt and finding them loving forever homes here in the UK. Give them a Google, Mercy Missions. That's all from me for this episode. I'll be back with you very soon. I'm hoping to take a look at all the England-related January transfers that have taken place during this winter window, and also speak with another author who has taken pen to paper and written a book all about England. I hope you can join me for it. Until then, take care of yourselves. Cheers.